And welcome to the Geekz 31 Days of Forever. Why? Because we're in November and we want to still talk about and review horror movies. So this is a little.
Sorry, Horror Returns. We're moving in on your territory. No, I'm just kidding. This is Steve.
And tonight we're reviewing Terrifier 3, the second most anticipated movie I've had this year. First is Deadpool Wolverine. Then I've been waiting for this. Like the minute it was HD available, I was counting down the minutes. Like when can you
in our defense, we would have gone to the theater had it played somewhere close to us.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It was weird too because I found a theater closer, but like the only shows were like really off times, so it wasn't. And the movie's done well. Like the movie's made, I think, $60-some million worldwide, 50 in the States.
And we were both fans of the original, and especially we both loved the sequel. I mean,
so we
how did we come across that first one? Was that like a whim? We just watched it on a whim, a word of mouth. Oh, this is crazy.
I think we watched All Hallows Eve, and
I thought we watched that after the first Terrifier.
Did we watch it after? Maybe
I think so.
Maybe it was on a whim. I can't remember now.
I don't remember. I just remember not knowing anything about it, watching it, and being like, "Holy shit!"
That first one was really good.
Yeah.
That scene, never forget. And we get a kind of a homage to that scene in this movie.
That second one, very good too. Introduced us to our main character.
Sienna. Sorry, it was like. So.
I'm glad you found that name because for me, I was just seeing the name Celine and I knew that was wrong. So I was just like waiting for you to grab that. But yeah, that was her introduction and kind of gave us more gore, more, up the kill count, up the effects. So then part 3 was just like, okay, where they're getting more money. Everyone's coming back. The same people are doing it. They have to move it to a more, there was a different production company that was going to be taking care of the effects, a different effects house rather. Yeah. But the same guy, the director, what's his name, is Damien Leone.
Damien Leone.
He was going to be overseeing it. So that was good, but that still led to some like fear, like maybe it was going to. Fear not. The gore is not to be missed. It's very much here. Very, very much. But all signs pointed to this is going to be great. It's going to be more of everything. And it really is more of everything. But sometimes sometimes too much of a good thing is just that. Too much.
Yeah, Steve, it's funny you say that. So I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, I give this movie a hero. Like, I loved it. I did, especially as a gore hound. But I think I texted you right after I finished watching it. And I'm like, Steve, I think I'm getting too old. Because the gore got to me a little bit in a couple scenes here and there. And, I've been having some, as an older man now, stomach issues and health, taking care of myself. So I don't eat bad anymore. And I kind of cheated yesterday in a little bit. I had half of a bun of a burger, half of a bun, and that messed up my stomach. But I was watching this, and we have the one character that was introduced in the first Terrifier, Victoria, and her just look constant. Like I remember the first couple movies, like you see like flashes of her, she shows up, and it's like enough where it's like a shock, and it's like ooh, like like that. But it's like it's never like there in your face for a long period of time. And it's so unnerving. It's so unnerving seeing her and then like her talking and all that. Like, ooh, it was just a little too much because it did look good. The effects look great. And I'm so happy in here that they had Tom Savini in here, even though it was just like a brief little cameo, like an homage, because Tom Savini to me is like the gore horror icon in special effects. And it's like you bring him in here and it's like, basically I think thank you, Tom. But yeah, some of the scenes went a little much, and man, that opening, holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
And it's like like when we complain about, or at least I complain about Rob Zombie like showing too much. Like this showed you too much, and then threw it in your face, and then showed you some more. And I was like,
then it picked you, made you looked away, and then it brought your head right back in, and then rubbed your face in it, and then like you're just like, oh my god. Yes, I agree with you. I give this movie a hero. When I said too much of a good thing is just that too much, it is. This is. I think this is at times felt like a little too much, but in a good way. Like I don't think that it's like it needs to be censored at all or like toned down at all. It was just it's a little, and I'm usually one for it. I think it was just the amount, and it was like it was a lot.
he was relentless
like
too.
you get maybe like the opening scene of this movie is the climax of many movies. It builds up to something that aggressive and that gory and that shocking. And that was the opening of this movie. And then you get, and you're like, oh my God, you're like catching your breath from that. And then you get another scene and you're like, oh, and then then another scene happens. And then something even more fucked up happens while that's happening. You're just like, like it just keeps building and more and more. And it just continues. And it's very relentless in the shock. And maybe that's it. It's just how much there is. It's like, because it's a 2-hour movie, which is crazy for a horror movie to be. That's just like a gory fun fest, like Art the Clown is. To have that be 2+ hours is, and there's not a lot of in between here.
Well, very little, thing, right? There's no build. Usually, you get build up in between the kills. You get, you'll have movies where you might have 10, 12 kills. Some of them will be, and even in this one, there was off-screen kills. And we still, and some maybe they didn't even happen. Because we don't even know for sure, but there was off-screen kills. You see some of the aftermath of it, and especially that opening scene. You see some easy kills for Art, because it's hilarious to me that he uses a gun, out of nowhere. It's just, I'll just pull out a gun, it's like
9mm.
But it's that, like, you have those lull moments where it's building up story, and I don't think we really got those here, even though you did, because when Sienna was back with her her aunt and family that she was living with, because everybody else is just about dead, so you had moments, but in between those moments they intercut with Art doing other things for the most part. So it's like you didn't have like a whole moment of family story time, then it went to the shocking thing. No, you had shock as throughout. Like you took a breath and you got a family thing, but then it was like another shock thing that leveled up the last shock. And it was kind of crazy. Like there's a mall scene that just goes bonkers.
Let's hit it.
Spoilers.
Opening scene. You hear a little boy being butchered. So this is your first Game of Thrones touch, because that's how Game of Thrones season 2 opened up. Quite like that. So I was like, ooh. But you didn't see it. So I'm like, okay. I mean, it's aggressive right off the bat. You're like, oh my God. But then the butchering of the dad that you then like, you're like, okay, I'm seeing it in the dark, and like you can see it through a blanket, so it's not. And then the wife turns the light on and then uncovers it, and then it continues, and it's like into his head and into his face and into his shoulder, and you're like, like it almost seems like they did a really good job, because it looks very realistic, and like the way he's swinging it. Like a lot of times you'll see it, like when you hit it, like you have to hit certain things perfectly, otherwise it's not going to give you that thing. Yeah, he's swinging wild, and he's like clipping edges of things, and it's coming off and bleeding. Like it's like they built a whole thing.
Yeah, they did a great job with
person that like they can cut away, and it like I don't know, like.
Was... and you saw his face moving at one point, like while he was still being chopped up, like. It was crazy.
And the mom gets chopped up.
Yeah, and yeah, she puts up a little bit of a fight. And then of course, like after this, of course, then you get the comedy, right? Then you get Art eating cookies and milk. And then he finds the
Did you
little
see like
girl
the blood swirling around in the
in the
milk?
milk. I
Oh
know. It's like
God.
again, that's where I was getting a little nauseous
Oh,
a
but
little
and
bit.
then right before the mom got chopped up, she did go into the little boy's room, and that's where you see the aftermath of what you heard before. So they wanted to make sure you saw that. That really did happen.
Yes, boy chopped up, pieces everywhere.
Made sure
Blood.
that you could see it was a child's hand.
Yes.
Like, like
Again, getting old, Steve. We're parents.
I
We got
know
kids.
it's that maybe that's it, but 5 years that it's like that was like 5 years ago or something like that. Or no,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was no. Then it says
Well,
5 years ago.
it was 5 years earlier because then it goes to the beginning of part two or the end of part two. Because remember, at the end of part two, that's where
Oh, this is our Chris Jericho scene.
Victoria.
5 years
Yeah,
ago was Chris Jericho scene. This is
yeah.
where Victoria gets out, and Art has a new. That's where he
He doesn't
gets
have a
like
new body. His body
got
a
the
new
head
from the
from that
cop
cop.
to get to his old body that was rebirthed.
He had to
in
ride the
Victoria.
subway. So
That was a gross scene too, because like his head had an umbilical cord to it because Victoria gave birth to his head at the end of two. It was just like, and then they were eating the one nurse that kind of caught them, and then Jericho comes in, and then he gets torn to shreds as well.
that was cool though. That was like good practical old school stuff, like the breakaway jaw and stuff like that. Like that doesn't make me squirt.
No, that was,
I like looking at the artistry of that. That was cool. That was good stuff.
Yeah, again, but see, here's the thing,
and the makeup on Victoria's face throughout, like never falters, never wavers, and looks really, really good.
It's gross as hell. Like it's just gross.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene too. Oh, we'll get to it, man.
Well, so there's that kill scene. We don't need to go through the whole like you know what the story is. Then we go back to present day. Sienna's getting out of the mental institution after she's been in there from the end of the second movie, and to go live with her parents. And wouldn't you know it, her aunt and uncle. Wouldn't you know it, Art comes back into town. That's the movie. Yeah. That's the effing movie.
In a nutshell. And it's a weird part because like again, like I'm trying to figure out the lore here. And so Victoria, I believe, killed herself at that moment 5 years ago because they went to the house and she like smashed her face in a mirror, then sat in a tub and killed herself. That grossed me out too when she was in that tub with all that goop everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. Like I'm feeling nauseous now thinking about just that sludge in that tub. So disgusting. But then two people who are gonna condemn the house or do something with the house get in there and wake up Art and kill them, and then I think that's when Victoria's taken over by a demon, and I think that demon is the girl from part two, the little clown girl, because you see her eyes change. Her eyes change demonic, and that's what tied me into both those. I watched two like a week ago, so that's why I was tying them in.
The demon girl.
Remember in two there was a
girl because she's not in this movie. So where is she?
She's not. I think she possessed Victoria and was living through Victoria once Victoria killed herself, took over Victoria's body. Because at the end of this movie,
I will go with that lore because then something's trying to go out of Victoria and into Sienna. So.
Into Sienna. She's trying to get into Sienna now because she wants the fresh body.
There seems to be a very biblical thing they're reaching for, and I don't know.
Well, because
I think it could be cool because I mean, there's definitely like at the end. We're in spoilers. At the end of this, there's a portal to hell.
Yeah, so, and there was a portal to hell in the last one because Sienna like almost fell into it. Remember, it says
you know what? I didn't rewatch 2 before this, and that came out 2 years
ago.
So
yeah, it was a hell portal. A hell portal.
A hell porter.
Hell porter. Hell portal into.
That's a good beer. Good dark beer. That hell porter.
And they even bring up, because Jonathan wrote to Sienna when she was in the hospital or in
that boy's voice will never change.
No. But about like demons and possession and stuff like that. And then you have like that scene with her dad where it's a flashback where he has like a vision
No, her dream when that whole thing happens and she sees like the Virgin Mary statue that has like
that too.
demon on a chain that's like making armor that looks like the armor she wore in the second movie. I'm like, are they setting up like she's gonna get some real like they might be setting up like an actual big fight like
I think she's going. I think she has to go to hell at the end of this because
she's wearing a crown of thorns. Her hands are all fucked up inside now.
They heal.
They healed, but like I think that she now is like a godlike
like an angel
at the end of this.
He's the angel. He's the demon.
Yeah.
That's how I've been seeing this.
That's the end of the movie. But like we skipped over all the how those two guys in the condemned house get killed. I remember one got like nailed to the ground.
Yeah, and then the other one got the shard that Victoria slit her wrist.
She got him in the neck.
Yeah,
that was an easy kill. But then the guy that got nailed to the ground, he got some other fucked up shit happen. He peeled his head off or like. He did like a box cutter.
Yeah. It cut the whole hair and then just ripped his skin off his whole face. You just saw the whole skeleton with the muscle underneath.
Yeah, but while that was happening, Victoria was getting really friendly with a long shard of glass, and it sounded just like scissors cutting through thin meat. Like it was so gross.
Yes, she was getting off on the death, but that, like I said, I don't think at that point that was Victoria anymore. So and then we go back and forth between Sienna and the family.
We get introduced to Jonathan's roommate and his girlfriend, which I was like, yes, they're gonna die.
Oh yeah, and deserve
missed opportunity.
Yeah, kinda.
You didn't get the shot.
Well,
got close.
Missed
opportunity.
Got him cut off, but yes, he sliced right through the herb.
Was there another kill scene between the shower scene and that? Oh, I mean, it was.
There was
the bar scene.
Santa. We got the Santa. The bar scene where Art gets his Santa suit.
Yes, exactly. So they goes. Well, first he's wearing like the big bloody suit, and they run into a guy that's cosplaying as Art, and then all we see is Art wearing that guy's suit,
clean suit. Yeah.
So we could just assume
that's another off-screen kill, like the little boy.
But I like those. Like those are good. I'm like.
We've had enough. We've had lot.
I felt relieved. I was like, "Oh, thank you for." It's pretty rare that you thank a movie for giving you an off-screen kill. You're like, "Oh, I needed a breather. Thank you for that." So that happened, and then then he goes to the bar, and that's when we get the Clint Howard cameo.
And Santa and the bar owner, they're drinking.
He murders 3 out of 4 people with just a handgun, and then ties up old Saint Nick and uses a cryogenic freeze device. It looks like a fire extinguisher, but it freezes.
Yeah, and it's high powered. I don't know how
he does that like to Santa's hands and legs, and then proceeds to smash them. Well, first, just those, and smashes those with hammer. And you would think, like, first thing I thought was like, oh, like my head instantly went to like Batman and Robin, and I'm like, oh, he's just gonna smash it. It's gonna be like ice shards everywhere. No, it's kind of like how it would be. Like the top layer is kind of brittle, but then once you get past that, it's still all gooey goodness.
Gooey goodness, yeah, it was.
And then he does it to the face, and that it's just rough, man. It's just rough stuff. You just see it all. You see it all, every bit of it. They don't cut away, not for a second.
No.
And I like that Art washes his hands, though. He's a religious hand washer, if you noticed. Even after he pees, he washes his hands.
That's true, because we do see the scene of him peeing with the Santa suit on.
So who gets it after the bar people?
He goes to the mall.
To the mall.
Where he's Santa passing out presence.
This one, this feels, I don't know, man. A bomb going off in a mall and killing a bunch of kids at a mall Santa station seems a bit rough. Like it's like
Right, I said it's
that's
bonkers,
pushing
man.
the line a little bit. It's like
Like
with
you
a different soundtrack, this is a very terrifying, like real life situation. But the fact that they're playing like silly Christmas music makes it, and Art's like laughing off to the side.
yeah, he's doing his mime
It's
laugh
like
and stuff. And
that one was hard too, because you know how you see that happen? You see a little boy open that bomb and it blows up. And then you see the aftermath. You like,
and it's so bizarre to me. Like, Art is a serial killer slasher, right? Like he's climbing the pantheon layers. But it's like he uses a handgun, he uses a bomb. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that with a serial killer, like a slasher killer.
Well, I mean,
using a bomb.
He has no rules. Like, he doesn't have a
no. Like
as much as we like to say that Jason is like he has a machete, like he does use a machete a lot, but that man uses everything.
Yeah,
he'll get you with a spear if he has it.
A spear. He's used what do you?
If that man has a broadsword, he will kill you with that. Like Jason will have a brick, he'll kill you.
But it's a lot of hand to hand. You know what I mean? Like it's not like Jason's not using a gun. I mean, he does use that. Was that not a bow? Like
Jason Voorhees would not use a gun or a bomb. You are correct.
Yes.
I would say I can't say he wouldn't cryogenically freeze anybody because that's his number one kill.
Yes, that's a fantastic one. But hey, it's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it kind of goes to that bonkers area where I'm like, wow.
He's very unpredictable, Art. You really never know what he's going to do. You're just like, what's he going to pull out of that fucking bag? And the next scene we get is the shower kill scene where Art decides he's going to take a page out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and whip out a chainsaw in the shower. And the thing that was unnerving about this is it just felt realistic how things were getting lopped off. And like,
oh yeah.
Like how, like he cuts the guy's hand and then the guy still has enough strength to like try to block it. But you can see he's like babying the side. Like it's really good acting, like choreography.
Injured. Like, yeah. And
he gets away, but he can only dodge for so long. You're in this confined space. You're soaking wet. And then like when he gets out and gets his like legs kind of taken off and he's kind of crawling, it's what happens with the girl in there. I mean, she's just trying to defend herself and he's just hitting her with it. And it's just like,
yeah, again, you said Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre never got this far, like not even close. And you see him cut right across her breasts, cuts through guts, everything. And then this is where I said we get the reverse from part one, where he got that girl upside down completely in half.
Yeah, but before we get there, he like stops. The girl's barely alive, and he puts sunglasses on her, and then just goes back to cutting her up. And you're just like, God damn, man! Like, and then he goes after the dude, and
wow, ever seen a chainsaw get to the ass and cut a guy right in the ass, and ass flying and dick flying and balls flying? It went straight there. Like it was like,
all done to, again, corny Christmas music, talking about how Art was kill count was high and this and that, and it's a very Art Christmas. And then he does a blood angel, like a snow angel, but there's a puddle of blood, and he does it in that, and it makes a good shape. It's just, it felt like a lot. It's just, it was a lot.
And we're not even at the climax,
It was a lot, but it was good. It was all very good, but like even talking about it now, I don't know. This one got me a little queasy. some guy. It's just a lot of gore, and like I'm fine with gore, like but it was
It's
a
a lot.
lot.
It's a lot. I said it. Like I said, I texted
I don't
you
know
right
how I would
away.
have felt seeing this in the theater with like other people. Like, oof.
Yeah, this is the one time I actually felt, because I remember part 2 hearing people say like, "Oh, people were vomiting in the theater." I'm like, "Nah." And I watched part 2. I'm like, no, like it was gory. It was up there, but I'm like, no. This one, yeah, especially like if you're eating crap food and stuff, and you're seeing some of this stuff, I can see
Like
that.
movie theater nachos,
Yeah, whatever.
those lukewarm jalapenos,
The
shitty chili,
spicy cheese or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
that queso sauce.
it's
Ugh.
dripping all over your face. All right, so then we the crazy thing is like all this happened in it's 90 minutes in, and all
Mhm.
this happens, and now it's the final like act or a little past that where he's getting Sienna out. He's he's doing the voice thing with the brother and the family, and or it's the uncle and the aunt. They're supposedly talking in the kitchen, talking shit about getting rid of Sienna, and she comes down the stairs and nobody's there. And then she goes to turn the other way, and in the living room it's Art hanging up the dead body of her uncle, gutted, and just pulling intestines out of his body and stuff like that, and like decorating with his intestines
Yeah, he uses the intestines as garland on the tree, which also has the uncle's head as the star.
as the star. Yep. And then he attacks her, and she fights him off and everything, but he gets the best of her, hits her in the face with a mallet, and knocks her out. And then she wakes up duct taped to a chair, looking across, seeing her aunt duct taped to a chair. And then this is the part this is where it got a little too much for me, is because this is where Victoria, or the demon Victoria, started like talking a lot, like,
Monologuing.
and she was so like, her face was, I know it was covered in art makeup because she was matching him, and that's where that's where I was putting 2 and 2 together, because she was white face with the art lines like the girl was in the part 2. That's where I was putting that together. And man, they go in on the ant here like you'll never believe, man. Like, they take this tube
Well, this is
and
after they pull a net or a cover off of a cage where rats have eaten the skin off of a skull, which they tell her is her daughter. So that's
a
what
little
she thinks.
8-year-old girl or
That's
10-year-old
what
girl,
she
whatever.
thinks, that's her dead kid's head. And then yes, then well, you can.
Then they take this glass tube and hammer it down her throat and shove rats down in her stomach, and then slit her up, and then just guts and intestines just fly, while Sienna's just watching this all unfold right in front of her, because they're trying to break her. They're trying to break her.
Then they bring out the daughter.
The girl. Yeah.
The daughter. So it wasn't the girl's head. And they take the head out and they put it over on the mantle. And then they take out her brother's glasses and put them on the skull and furry.
Or any glasses. I'm
Or
gonna say
any
they
glasses.
don't.
Again, that's a main character. I don't know if because the last thing we saw, he was just like getting up in bed after talking to Sienna.
Yeah.
Finding out that he was going to do something. Like I don't know what happened, but I don't think that they would just kill him off screen. That character would deserve some sort of ceremonious send off. So uncertain. Even on the Wikipedia, it says what she believes to be Jonathan's
Which
head.
makes sense, because that's what they wanted. They wanted to break her again, because
Yeah.
they figured if they could break her mental and spirit, she can take over her body, and then she would be in Sienna's body, and then start this chaos over again.
Yeah.
But Sienna fights that off, which is great, because she still has her niece.
But again, like the killers here, if because now like we're past all the queasy stuff, so now like if the killers would have like not played this dumb game,
Oh yeah, they would
at
have
the
been.
end, then they would have been fine. But like, oh, do you want to open the last present? Oh, you want to open it yourself? Like, okay. I was like, you're just gonna cut her free. I did like how Art like smashes the shit out of her hands and then cuts her free. Like, do something. It's like,
Yeah.
that's good. Like I didn't see that coming.
And that looked good too. That was gross and nasty. And while they bashed up her hands.
She did seem to get over that injury really quickly.
Well, again, it's I think she's
power of the sword. Power
yeah.
of the sword.
Yeah, because even you see she's kind of healed up at the very end. So then she opens the present. It's hits her sword that she had in part 2 that could actually hurt Art. She chopped off Victoria's head with it with a fight there, and then started fighting Art. Got Art pinned against the wall with the sword, and then a portal to hell opens up that swallows a portion of the living room.
Little girl would have
moved.
God, she sat there the whole finale.
Like watching the whatever.
Like, you know where the portal opened up, where all of Victoria's goop drained out to. So why were you sitting in the middle of that? Like, move.
Goop. Yeah.
I didn't want to. Your cousin who just saved your ass is over there fighting for her life and yours. Like, go look. You're up.
Run out the door and get help.
Open the door. Do something. Come on, man. Get out of there.
Call the cops.
You know what you should do? No, you know what you should do? Sit there and stare at your dead mother longer. That'll help. Just stare. Just keep going. I know trauma and everything. What would you do in that situation? I don't know. This damn cat.
Just seeing your mom gutted with a giant glass tube jammed down her face. Yeah, I don't know.
Evil clown. Your cousin's wearing a crown of thorns. There's a decapitated demon lady next to you. I mean, you're right. Maybe your thought process isn't what mine is right now, watching it from the couch. I'll give you that.
So they fight, and then she has to go save. She can't do the death blow on Art because she's got to go save her niece, and she can't save her niece.
Yeah,
she falls into the hell portal.
You're gonna get there's nothing else. You're gonna give her the handle of your sword, and you're gonna hold on to the sharp end. Come on. That looked nasty though. When
there's nothing
slipped out. When the blade slipped out, it was just like
all her hands were getting cut up. Yeah,
and the sound. They did a good job with the sound work and all that.
Yeah,
but that just leads up to the sequel. She turns around, Art's gone. She looks at her hands; those get healed up real quick. She's like, "I will find you," and I'm like, "I bet you fucking will," because you seem like the kind of person that you're on a mission now.
Well, the weird thing about that whole ending too, so everybody knows their story. We didn't talk about. There's a lot of little sub story things going on here. Like Mia, which I did not like that name because that's my oldest's name, and I was like, oh man,
the true crime lady.
She's a true crime podcaster, and
they know all about the story from 5 years ago. And
but you hearing them, they all think Sienna's or not her, but her podcast host thinks Sienna's the killer and murdered everybody because there's everybody around her. And then I'm thinking about this tonight, and I'm like, everybody around her again is dead. And I'm like, okay, outside of, yes, there is this one, family house and everything, but it's like, how the hell are they not going to pin this on her?
And the little girl's missing.
Yeah.
And the brother's missing. Or
there's all these missing
who knows?
People. Yeah. And
everybody around her is either dead or not around.
Yeah. She was at the mall before the bomb went off. All these different things. I'm like, I don't know.
She wasn't at the condemned house when those two guys got it, though.
She wasn't, and she wasn't at because the opening happened somewhere in between here. We just didn't see it because they just used it as the opening. So she wasn't at that house either and had no tie to them. At least,
but you know what? But you know what? She was at all the other ones, which then ties her to those tangentially. They're like, well, those are the same as this. So she was clearly over there too.
So we'll see how they write that in the next one. I'm very curious on that because it's because at least at the last one, the cops did show up. They did have a body. They had all these ties to Art.
I want more of what we got with that weird vision of the Virgin Mary statue when that demon turned, like the demon's like hammering this. It's a crazy shot of like this weird blacksmith area in hell. There's like fire everywhere and there's crazy rocks and like this demon. It looks like an orc from Lord of the Rings wearing this crazy.
Well, he's got a mask. He's got a mask.
But it looks like orc armor. It's not like innate armor, like nice armor. It looks like plate metal kind of shit. And he's like hammering this stuff, this armor piece or whatever, and he turns and looks at Sienna and roars, and that looked cool because like it just looked cool, like the face looked good, everything.
I bet you that's her father.
And then the statue of the Virgin Mary that was holding him like turned and like yanked the chain and then whipped its head back into shape. Really, like I don't know, I was like, ooh,
you love the religious stuff. I mean, like, yeah, just like the crazy Jesus killing.
I'm telling you, I'm like, you're dipping in the air territories I like. So I want more of that. That was cool. That was good shit.
I bet you that's her dad because he was making the armor. He was making the armor that she had worn in the first one, and he created that character. It's going to tie in to the father in the next one. Like the father's in hell. We don't know why he left. We don't know how he died. We don't know any of that.
He sold his soul for the ability to create that armor or some shit like that. Like because he in that vision
to give it to
in
her,
that vision he saw when he was going to hand her the artwork that she was going to be fighting off Art, who is a demon. Who I guess we figured now is a demon.
Got it.
And maybe that's it. Then I would say, yeah, the dad sold his soul for a chance to make her the armor that could help her defeat him.
Yep. I
will co-sign that and agree with that. Again, although this movie's great, but you got to be in the right headspace to watch it because it will test your senses.
Definitely.
I don't think it's as real. I mean, it's very graphic, very realistically graphic, but it's not like there are some movies that feel real, almost like you're watching something you shouldn't. And you're like, it doesn't feel like that. It's just there's the sheer volume, the sheer amount of it. Just after a while starts to wear on you. You're like, everybody has a limit, you know.
It's like you're going through a gauntlet, and it's every level gets worse and worse. But let's get to the end too, though. Here we have this lady on a bus, empty bus, just her and the driver, and then Art gets on there, and he's kind of like, staring at her. She's reading a book called The Ninth Circle. I don't know if you remember that, Steve. That's from All Hallows Eve. That was one of the chapters in All Hallows Eve that introduced us to Art.
I did not know. I did not pick up that Easter egg. So very good, very good.
Yeah.
And Ninth Circle of Hell. It's a term,
exactly. So. Again, tying everything to what we're talking about here. That's where I was like, when she said, "Oh, what are you reading?" "Oh, I'm reading The Ninth Circle." It's I'm like, see, this is where we're going.
Breadcrumbs.
So, and then Art, we just get a shot of him, like his eyes are kind of like messed up, and then all of a sudden he pulls out his horn, and more than likely those two people are dead, or we'll continue right from that part.
Is there a credit scene?
Part 4. There is not.
Okay, I did not. I didn't even bother.
I did because I was curious. There is not.
Okay. Well, again, I give it a hero. It was a good flick. We're definitely getting to part 4. Can't wait for that part 4.
Oh yeah, I would predict a 4 and a 5. This movie has made too much money to stop at 4. I know
if they keep making that money and the budget can keep going up and up, then we might get an epic.
Well, I'm worried about it going too high, right? Because
it's
true. You lose some of that.
You can't Icarus fly too close to the sun. You get too close.
We talk about with all these movies, right? When the budgets start getting crazy, then they start not looking good anymore.
We'll see.
So
far, they've kept a very solid trajectory, I think. Now, I would still say that part 1, if we're going to rank all 3, I would say that I would go I think I like them in order they came out. 1, 2, 3. Now, that's weird saying that like the trajectory of them has gone up, even though I like them going down. But I think that the quality of the movies, like films, the quality of the special effects, the acting, the sound work, all that has continued to go up in a positive direction with the movies.
Yeah.
And I think the stories have even gone up, the storylines. I just think that first movie hit different. It was a smaller story. It felt like it might not even get a sequel. It was a small localized story that was very good. It left it open for a sequel, but there was no guarantee. Then part 2 came out and you got introduced to this whole new cast of characters and you're just like, oh man, this is great. It's building out more, but it was missing some of the intimate kills that the first one had. You got to know them, most of the characters that bit it really bad in the first one, whereas the second one, you're just seeing people get it left and right.
Yeah, and that's this one. This one's it's even at a rapid pace. It's kind of like porn, gore porn.
It's weird that I think that they are getting better, but I like them in the reverse order personally. So
well, I think also because of the first one was kind of intimate, and again, I agree. It was
these two girls.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I also think that because the story, one had a story, even though Victoria at the end was the sister of the main girl we were following until the very end when Victoria became the final girl. But we're now in this kind of this trilogy on its own that's outside of that because we're in Sienna's trilogy and the story's not done. So I think that's part of the problem. Just like we talk about with even like you brought up Lord of the Rings, right? Because we were talking about orcs and stuff. Like, I know you love the Two Towers. We've talked about this many times. But to me, I loved Fellowship because even though it ended on a cliffhanger, it introduced so much more. And it brought me into this world that I was not expecting. I think that's what Terrifier 1 did. And then now we're in this because the next 2 movies in Lord of the Rings, basically almost 3-4 movies in size anyway. Now we're into this story and we haven't finished the arc of the story and we don't know where it's going. So we're not done. And I don't think we could put that end finale on it.
But I also don't feel like the finale. I feel like the finale of part 2 was better than the finale of part 1. The armor, the montage scene of suiting up, the big standoff. Well,
because she was fighting. Because we had a protagonist that was fighting back. That could actually fight back. Like Victoria.
That was almost like Dream Warriors,
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyways.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about Terrifier.
We could continue.
It's great. It really is. It's a lot, but it's great. So definitely check it out. Let us know what you thought because I would love to hear from the people who've seen this. Let us know. I'm very curious of what you thought about this because I know I have a lot of friends who love horror, but they don't love this level of gore. Mm-hmm. And they're just not into it. They watch the first one and they're like, no, if it gets worse than this one, I'm out. I don't want to do it. And it did. So I'd be curious for those that love this, and even those that have watched this that don't like this. What did you think and why didn't you like it? Because I can see that. I can see the over the topness, just putting you off. So let us know. This is a little.
And this is Steve. And until next time, everybody, keep it creepy.